Hey everybody, Nick here, and today we got a disassembly for you of this big old guy right here. This is the CRKT Seismic, which is quite a knife. It's kind of nuts, actually. So it has an IKBS symbol on the outside, but looking on the inside, I think I'm seeing caged bearings. I think I see differences. I think I see a little bearing cage in there. So I'm working right now inside a surface that has ridges all around the outside. So hopefully, even if it does turn out to be loose bearings everywhere, my life is going to be okay. But yeah, so let's go ahead and take this guy apart. What are we looking at here? We are looking at T6s all around. We need to pop this guy loose from this side, I think is the way I'm going to do this. And I know for a fact that I've got additional screws waiting, watching, deliberating underneath there. Underneath or inside there. Beautiful. Okay, pop these 3 screws loose. This should allow me to lift off the G10 here. Come on. There we go. So, screw. These guys stay in there. Underneath here, we've got this little piece. This is your detent. This is the CRKT Deadlock. And by the way, I just want to demonstrate for you before I take anything of use off. The blade looks unscented because the grind is slightly unscented. However, it is pretty much dead on. And, you know, with a little sharpening would be even deader on. But anyways, one interesting element of this knife is this is featuring the CRKT Deadlock. Wherein, you know, the way that this works is that you press down on the pivot here when the knife is locked. That pops this loose, allows the knife to shut. But one element of this, it's kind of interesting, is it doesn't naturally provide a detent. There's a frame lock, for instance, has a piece that's always pressing against the blade, so you put a little ball on there, and that ball falls into a little hole, and that prevents the blade from coming loose. So they installed this little deal on here, which actually provides the detent. This is sort of a second lock bar, if you will. I see no reason to remove this. These screws do not need to be touched. At least right now, I see no reason for that. Maybe I'm going to change my tune. Maybe I'm going to be singing all different little sea shanty there by the end of... Sea shanty? Really? By the end of it, but for the moment, I don't think I'm going to need to do that. Now, the next step is going to be to pop this guy loose. You can see here right in the middle there is a Torx. Appears to be a T8 hole. When I turn this hole, it's actually going to pop loose. You can see here it's backing out of here. So, at a certain point, this is going to come loose. Right here we see the spring that drops that pulls the deadlock back up. So it's a little weird spirally coil spring, which is interesting. Then on the back side, your deadlock is just fallen out. So you can see here, this is the part that slides up into the blade, locks things shut. Now what I should be able to do is lift this scale off. I think, yeah, should be able to. Unless, no, I cannot. So see here. This is turned. There, this is turned. This is a thing that I need to turn. So I will run in here, grab my flathead. Flathead? Yeah, flathead. That should do the trick. So what this means is that this collar here is screwed into the other side. This is why you do not ever want to brute force a knife that you're taking apart. Because had I just, you know, grabbed my pry bar and went to town, put some gronk on this... That's some Loctite up in the action. Then it would have stripped out that screw, and that wouldn't have been good. Why is this not... There we go. Oh, wow, they just put way too much Loctite in that. So as a result, that Loctite's gotten everywhere. Something just bounced. Oh, yeah. There's your other bearing. Okay. So I've popped that loose. Now we are basically disassembled. We can see what's going on. Like I said, here's your detent. So we need to make sure we oil the deadbolt path. Here's this little guy. This is the blade, in case you can't tell. Yeah, you can tell that. Okay. Back at the wrench. This is the blade. What we will do is we will go ahead and start cleaning things out. Like I said, there was way too much Loctite in this guy, so that's probably slowing up the action, causing us all kinds of difficulties. This little guy, by the way... Here is your, this is where your deadlock kind of pops in. So remember, this is under spring tension. It wants to pull back up. And so when I lock the knife, what actually happens is that this piece comes sliding up into there and then seats itself. Here, I'll see if I can show you this. It seats itself inside this groove on the blade and actually prevents it from going any further. It prevents it from coming loose until I press that button down, which pops this back out and allows the blade to rotate with this little piece up top there, riding smoothly within that area. So there you go. That's kind of cool. Let's go ahead and put this guy on here. All right, let's go ahead and clean this guy off, that is. If you're ever curious about the tools I'm using for my disassemblies, go ahead and go to nickshabazz.com/tools. I link there to a video that talks about my disassembly toolkit. Will make your life maybe a little easier. All right, where the heck are my Q-tips? Come here, Q-tips. There we go, the tip of the Q. Never seen an R-tip. I feel like that's the next step, right? All right, popping that loose. Cleaning that out, clean this out here, clean that out there. Wow, look at that. There's some, can you see this? There's some pretty serious, is that a burr? Is that scale? Is that crackling? What the heck? It's not even, it's barely a freaking word. What am I doing, people? Can I push that off, or is that just, maybe it's EDM gunk? I don't know. Whatever it is what it is. Here is your detent ball hole, so we'll keep that in mind. Now, next thing we're going to do is clean out these bearings. Clean these bad boys off right there. Clean these bad boys off right here. Alrighty. At the moment, the wife is traveling. And as a result, I have, free run of the house. Not that that matters. Just means I put dishes away less frequently, right? But anyways, that's beside the point. The weird thing for me, though, is that, normally by this time in the evening, it's almost 10 o'clock. I am, in the living room with her, because I like her. I want to, I generally want to spend some time with it. Don't want to ignore her for the channel and whatnot. So I keep looking down and thinking to myself, oh, it's getting to be late. I should be hanging out with my wife rather than doing some disassembly of a random cricket. But then here I am. And I realize that she's not coming back this evening. And that's sad on some level. I mean, it's convenient for disassemblies, but I don't know. If she walked through that door right now, it's been like a day and a half, so I'm not like freaking out, but I'd be happier. I suppose that's as good a working definition of love as any. Somebody who you would pause a cricket disassembly to go hug. Alrighty. Wow, that's the weirdest kind of sappy freaking ever. Alright, let's go ahead. I kind of want to do a better job of cleaning off this Loctite, but it's freaking in there. Here, I'm going to try and drown it. Alright, come on. Then I will use this here. Well, that didn't work. I will kind of try and thread it into this cloth here. See if I can use that to disgorge some of this, but it just ain't going anywhere. Good God. Come on. What the heck? Is it rotating? Okay, there we go. Alright, good. Yeah, I'm pulling some of this out now. That's nice. This is a thing where I know that if I had a machinist tool chest, right behind me, I could run a, what would it be on this case, a tap? No, a tap is the other side. Either way, a die. There you go, I think. And I'd be able to clean that off that way, but for the moment I just have to stick to, it's not exactly elbow grease because my elbows are resting on a table. Instead, it's maybe finger grease. That's not a word. But still, we got that there. I think that ought to do. That cleans us up maybe sufficiently. Alrighty, let's start the reassembly process here. Let's start from this side. Do I start from this side? Yeah, I do. Because what I need to do is actually start by putting this guy back into here. So then what I'm going to do, well, I've got this present. No, I don't want to put Loctite onto this thing, because then it's very likely to get up into the pit or up into the bearings and whatnot. So instead I'll put liquid Loctite on the inside, because you can see here this liner is actually tapped for threaded, that is. Well, maybe tapped. I don't know. Machinists help me out here. One thing I will say about my dalliances in the world of pocket knifery, you know, I am not a machinist by trade. I'm not a tradesperson. You know, that's not my world. I have nothing but respect for people in the trades. There are days when, you know, I absolutely require the specialized training somebody in the trades has. And I would never, ever, ever dream, and frankly, no one ever should be saying, you know, talking down about people who are in trades. I mean, crap, they know things I don't. That's a crucial thing for the world. So anyways, that's beside the point, though. What I was going to say is one thing that, you know, being knife-making adjacent for so long here, or being, you know, a knife-making critic, if you will, has provided me is a very, very acute sense of respect for machinists. You know, and I've also supplemented this by watching videos on YouTube, which, you know, of course, gives me great expertise, but nevertheless, you know, by watching videos from folks like A-Bomb74, etc., you know, a bunch of actual, you know, real machinists, even the Grimsmos, John and Eric Grimsmo, they have all kinds of videos there. But I have nothing but respect as I've learned more about that process just casually for the folks who do that for a living. That is not easy work. And doing any of this right is not straightforward. So, you know, I don't know. It's something I've come to respect a great deal. Now, okay, how the heck am I going to do this? What I'm going to do here is... My next question here is whether I can place this into position. Can I? I think I can. So what I'm going to go ahead and do... Oh, that's right. No, these pop into place. These screws go underneath there. Okay, we're good. So what I need to do here next is screw these two things in. Those are D6 again, I think. Yeah, D6. Great. But anyways, nothing but respect for, you know, good, competent CNC machinists. The more time I spend, you know, reading, watching, trying to understand that world, the more I understand I don't understand. And the more complexity I see in even something, you know, it can be real easy for these kinds of things to feel like, you know, for instance, Millet Knives is an American machine shop up there, knife maker. They had a video way back when, you know, of you know, how a CNC knife is made, where they just, you know, jokingly, they take, you know, a blank, they throw it into the CNC mill at high speed, out comes, you know, a finished knife. It's just like, you know, yeah, it's much more than that. So, okay, cool. So this is now turning. It may take a little bit of doing, but let's get moving. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to use some, an old friend. I got some liquid Loctite here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place this liquid Loctite on a tool that I swear to God I had around here. Ah, here it is. This guy. I'm going to go ahead. My Loctite is a little aged at this point, but that'll work. Now I'm going to go ahead and use this tool as an oiler. As in the tool rather than the theorem, but still. And then I'm going to apply this Loctite directly to the inside of those threads in a small volume. Now what this will allow me to do is make sure that it doesn't get all up into the pivot here, and should allow me to screw this in if I can get everything seated properly. Come on. Yeah, nice. Okay. So, now at this point, I have my pivot tension has to be set. The knife will not lock up, but I need to make sure that it's turning properly. because the knife won't lock up until I've reinstalled the deadbolt system. So I'm just making sure. Is there blade play? God, should there be blade play? The reason I ask this, the detent's great. Lockup's a little light. The reason I ask this, though, is there supposed to be a stop pin? Is this hitting the back of the backspacer there? Where is this being stopped? Oh, it's being stopped by the thumb studs on both sides. Okay, nice. Anyways, I think we are in good shape. If it turns out that there is blade play, after all is said and done, we might need to adjust that pivot tension. I'm going to give it just a little tiny bit more tension here. There we go. I believe we're good to go now. So, now that's done. Next step here. Next little bit of joy, or a little bit of pain, depending on how well this goes from here, is that we will reinstall the lockup. So, do I lubricate this? Sure, why not, right? Let's go ahead and I'm using some knife pivot lube here. The reason I'm lubricating this is because I know it goes through that passage. This part here, I'm lubing because I know that slides up into the blade. Is this a good idea? I don't know. We will see. Okay, so now there's the tall part and the low part here. The tall part, I'm assuming, is going in this hole because that's a taller hole. Now let's go ahead and drop this in here. Okay, now flip the knife out. And right now I'm providing tension on my own. There we go. We can see that it's seated down deeper in there. And then I should be able to pop that out again. Okay, now the next step here is going to be to screw this in. And for this, I'll go ahead and use some Loctite. Slide this through. My goal here, remember, is to spear this all the way through and into this bit in the back here. Get that seated right. T8. Press that down. I have no idea what the tension needs to look like for this. Ooh, that's a little lock sticky. Was a little lock sticky to start with, but hopefully it'll kind of loosen up over time. Okay, so, whoa there. The only missing elements here are cosmetic. In that there is just no top handle on this. So, is there anything else I need to adjust here? There is the very slightest bit of play here. So in the name of being insane, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove this bit here. That'll allow me to pop this lock out here. Once that's done, that'll allow me to get to this. Come on, drop loose. That'll allow me to get to this and tighten that just a little tiny bit more. Now we repeat those steps. You go here. It's this is a teachable moment, right? That's the reason I'm redoing this, not because I didn't get the tension right. It's always interesting to me to see, you know, I have actually disassembled one of these knives before. Not this exact model, but the Shock, the huge $700 one. I disassembled that guy already, and that has the same locking mechanism. And yeah, there's the play gone. Okay, beautiful. Although it's a little slower, and it's also a little more off-center here. So that's not stellar. Maybe I liked it a little bit better. I tightened that up too much. Damn it. Anyway, so I've seen this mechanism before. If this is feeling awfully smooth to you, you're welcome to call shenanigans. This isn't my first time doing this. Okay, loosen that up just a tad. Unfortunately, this is a pain in the neck that I have to kind of undo everything in order just to adjust the tension. My biggest question with this knife, by the way, is this lockup actually, you know, is this lock worth it? There you go. We're centered. We're good to go. Nice. Okay, final step here is just going to be to drop these scales into place here. Drop in. Drop in. And we should almost be good to go here. 20 minutes. Wow. Actually, that shouldn't surprise me at all. It was a complicated process. But we are running a lot nicer. Beautiful. Locks up. Of course it does. It's got a big metal thing in the handle, or in the blade. All right, we're good to go. So there you go. I hope this was interesting. It produced a seismic shift in your knife disassembly abilities. But mostly, I hope that you just have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.